Everyone, this is 10X Generation. This is my road to $1 billion. So I'm building a computer sharing platform where users can earn passive income by sharing their computers through the internet to others in need. And that's what I'm building, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm realizing that all these videos, I have to say that because there's new people coming on, and I want them to have the full context, or the right amount of context, and know what I'm talking about. So right now I'm working on the security side of things. How do you configure your computer so that it's not easily hackable? When someone logs into your computer to start playing your games, how do you make sure they can't get into your network? They can't connect to your printer. They can't run executables. They can't do anything but the agreed upon action. How do you do that? So the first thing I tried was the most obvious, the family app, which allows you to restrict applications. That was not sufficient. I found out how to get around that very quickly. And then I discovered this thing called GPOs, or the Group Policy Editor. And basically what that is, it's an inbuilt Windows protocol or whatever that allows you to create security objects that represent what you can and can't do on a computer. And these group policy objects can be very, very restrictive. You can make it so that you can't change the brightness of the computer. You can't change the start menu, change what you can and can't, all that stuff. So what I need is a hyper restrictive GPO. But the issue is that there's thousands of settings. There's thousands of different things you can turn on and off. And I'm not going through every single one to see which one you need and which one you don't. So what I want to do is turn off everything. By default, you can't do anything on the computer, and then I'm going to use it some and then see what settings are necessary for a good user experience. So that way it seems super locked down. But the way it works on the Pro version of Windows is that you have to manually click it on and off. And if I were to make a tutorial on how to do that for the hosts who want to actually use a computer, the tutorial will be too long, and no one wants to sit there for 2 hours clicking allow, disallow, allow. It's annoying and it's prone to error. So I want a way to import GPOs. So a way that I could do it, and then I download some sort of file, and then I upload it, right? And then you can use it. I talked about this a little bit in the past video. You can export app locker. You can export those, so you can export what apps you can and can't use. But I'm finding it very challenging to export the entire GPO, or really just the administrative templates, like the policies that controls the actual computer itself, not just what you can and can't execute. So I'm finding difficulty with that. But I found that, well, before I get into that, I found that it is actually possible to import and export these GPOs, but you need a different version of Windows. You need, well, not even a different version. You need the computer to exist within a domain. You have to have a computer somewhere that's acting as a Windows server, has a Windows Server OS operating on it, and then you generate a domain, and then you connect the computer to that domain, and then now that computer can export and import GPOs, because you got to think about it in the context. If you have a huge business and you want to push out a security policy to a whole bunch of different computers, you got to do that within a domain. So I was thinking, well, this tutorial is getting a little complicated, but maybe you could turn your computer, put your computer inside of a domain, but unfortunately you need a whole machine running Windows Server separate from this computer to be able to do that. So that's scratched out. That's one thing I found. Another thing I tried was there's this thing called RSAT. I forgot what it stands for, but within it holds a bunch of modules that that give you some of those administrative server modules. So one of those modules is the GPO module. It's called Group Policy Module. And that gives you extra features, and some of the features from Windows Server or a computer within a Windows server, within a domain, to just a normal local computer. But I'm having great difficulty with that because, again, you can't import or export GPOs outside of a domain. So that was kind of a dead end as well, but maybe there's something there. But I did find this one cool thing that it's like so hacky, but I do believe it will work. These GPOs exist as a file, and you could just find the file and then, upload that and download that. For to get access to these get access to that security policy. But of course, there's another issue. What's the next issue? So when you deploy these GPOs, they don't act as if let me tell you how I want it to act. The way I want it to act is that when you deploy a GPO, you can specify what user you actually want those security policies to be enacted for. So I'm imagining two different users. So the main user, the host, and then the guest user, that's the person who's connecting or remoting in. I want the main user, the host, to have normal policies. You can do whatever you want. You're the admin. But the guest to have highly restrictive, pretty much can't do anything. And both of these accounts to exist on the same computer. Unfortunately, that feature is only allowed on when that computer is within a domain. And since I'm not within a domain, whenever I deploy a GPO, it applies for the entire computer. So that's like, oh my gosh. So I can make my computers hyper restrictive, but it's only for the entire computer. It's for the entire computer. And, you don't want to be locked out of your own computer. So how are you going to do that? Well, what I'm thinking is that because I know that I can import and export, these GPOs, what I'm thinking is that I can make a script that you just click on and you run, and it converts the entire computer into the GPO for whatever mode. So you could put the computer into guest mode. So you click on it, it puts the computer into guest mode, and then you switch over to the guest account, and then you start up the remote host, and you do all that, right? And the executable does not exist for that executable that switches doesn't exist for the user or the guest. It doesn't exist for them, so they can't go back and forth. Only when you log back out of that guest account and go back into the administrative account will you have access to these executables, because you could just put it on the desktop of the administrative account, and that that blocks it off. That's the whole point of having accounts. And then you could pretty much whatever mode you want to be in, you just have to click it and then it activates, and click the other one, or run a special command and it activates that other one. So that's probably what I'm going to do. I just have to test. The biggest thing is that I have to test importing and exporting these GPOs. So yeah. Another thing that I did, I probably should have said this first, but another thing I did was talk to some past friends who are techie people, and I would like them to act as white hat hackers. So after I get this deployed and working out, I'm getting the smartest people that I know to try to hack into my computer, and I'm just going to monitor them, and I'm going to, of course, pay them, because that's how we do business. And just see if they can hack into my computer. And if they're able to, they just write up a little paragraph or whatever, how they were able to do it, and some potential ways they think I could fix it. And I'm going to do that for a little bit. And that's going to be the beta test, because I realized that my family and my brothers and stuff aren't going to be able to give me that sort of insight. So that's what's next. And then after I do that, I'm going to start with alpha. So that's where I'm at now. As you can tell, this is a very windy road very windy road. Today was highs and lows. Oh, I figured it out. Oh, no, I didn't, because there's this caveat. Oh, I figured it out again. No, there's another caveat. And I didn't even go into, like, I've been rambling for a while. I'm probably going to stop the video soon, because I don't know who's watching all this. But I didn't even go into the virtual machines, like, idea. Because I was thinking, well, if if only one GPO can exist on a computer, what if you had a virtual machine that is a computer in a computer? You have a GPO permanently deployed on that GPO. Or what if you, you have a Linux server, not a Linux server, a Linux distribution running on a virtual machine, and you play your games that way. There's all these other things that I would have to get into. And I do think there is some viability to maybe using a virtual machine. But GPOs won't work because I really doubt you're able to just download the Windows Pro executable, which is necessary for GPOs at all, period. I doubt you're able to do that. Just download the ISO. I doubt it. And Linux has a hard time running executables, which is what we're going to be running. The remote user is going to be running to play games. Of course, there is this other thing. I think it's called Proton or Photon or Fly. I forget what it's called, but it basically allows for Steam games and executables to run on Linux, but the quality of those games really vary. I think is only 80% of games can actually run that way that are on Steam. And the rest are pretty much unplayable. And of those 80, some of them are janky as well. So I investigated that, and I don't think I'm going that route right now. But that hot swapping kind of thing seems okay. I just have to make a script. I just have to make the first policy, download the policy, see if I can upload the policy and the policy holds up, and then make a script that can change those policies at will. And then I can start the testing, and then I could finally do the alpha testing. There's so much to do. I love it. And there's something else I want to say. I also want to say, I had some resolutions this year, that this year is going to be a 100x year, and it's already going swimmingly, but some of the issues that I was having this year, I don't feel I am, we're a month into the year. I don't think that I'm fully doing properly. So, like, I wanted to work on, working on myself physically. I've been going to the gym. I've been slacking a little bit with the gym. I went to go every other day, and I started going like every 3 days, which isn't terrible, but I need to get back on that. And, but I guess that's not fully related to business, so I won't go into it fully. But yeah, so I need to work on that. I need to get better with that. But that's really it. I really hope this was informative or interesting in some way. And if you did find it informative or interesting, please like, comment, and subscribe. I make these videos every single day. So I'll see you guys tomorrow.